So I hear all the time, self-directed IRAs, are they difficult, confusing, dangerous? Like, what's the deal? I hear it advertised on television, whether it's through Schwab or Bank of America, and they always talk about, hey, you can come get a self-directed IRA with us. It's free, it's easy, it's cool. You can manage your portfolio at home, day trade, buy all kinds of really exciting products, which sounds great. And then I go online and do research, whether it's Google ads or social media or just kind of searching around, reading different articles. And I see, hey, you can do all kinds of really alternative asset type investments like real estate or even cryptocurrencies. But I see all these rules about prohibited transactions and SEC alerts that there's fraud, potential fraud. You got to be careful about people ripping you off if you invest. There's a little bit more danger than just buying stocks, whether it's Apple or Google. Like, what's the deal? Can you explain it to me? So I get this question a lot, especially when I'm talking to people I meet, whether it's dinner parties or just people that aren't in the industry, and they hear that I love self-directed IRAs and it's my passion and it's something I'm really excited about talking about, and they kind of ask, well, is this scary, dangerous? Like, should I do it? And I always give them this answer. Listen, we have a great retirement system. IRAs work. You could say things about our healthcare system. You could say stuff about Congress, the Senate. You could say stuff about our Constitution. You could say different stuff about America. And again, I think this is the greatest country in the world. We're not perfect. But you know what? The retirement account system works. And it's the one system that actually works well. And it's the one system that everyone should be taking advantage of. Everyone. Whether you are rich, poor, middle class, young, old, as long as you earn some income, you should be participating in the retirement account world. You got to get in the game, okay? And the self-directed IRA is one way to get into the game, and it's one way to kind of invest in investments that you feel comfortable with, like real estate or like cryptocurrencies or tax liens or precious metals or private equity or businesses or hedge funds. You have really a world of investment opportunities. So it's not scary. I don't think it's more dangerous than buying stocks on Wall Street and watching it go down 10% as it did in February. I don't think it's super scary. I think you need to know what you're doing. I think you got to know yourself. So there's about 50 million IRAs out there, okay? It's about $8 trillion as of 2018 or so. Well, again, it goes up and down based off the markets because close to 90% of all IRAs are invested in equities like stocks, mutual funds. So it doesn't have to be dangerous. If you don't want, and if you're comfortable with Wall Street and you love the fact that you can kind of go online and trade stocks and you just look at the trends and just say, hey, I can get 8-9% over 60 years in the stock market. That's all I want to do. Great. Congress allows you to do that. The tax code lets you do that. There's basically 3 things you cannot do. That's it. So it's not super scary. You don't need to have an engineering degree. You don't need to be a computer guru or a lawyer or a doctor to kind of figure this out. It's not. I mean, I spend a lot of time on this stuff. I write tons of articles, books, but it's just because I love doing it. It's not super difficult. So what can't you do? Okay, Section 408, you can't buy collectibles like art. There's even a carve-out for approved metals like gold, silver, palladium, bullion, and coins like American Eagle, state minted, or bullion coins. So there's some requirements on how it's held. Generally, you want to hold it at a depository. You don't want to hold it personally because Section 408M says you cannot hold bullion it needs to be held in the physical possession of a trustee, which is basically a depository or bank. So you don't hold it yourself. Don't hold it in your pocket or in your house. You can't buy life insurance, okay? So unfortunately, you can't buy life insurance with IRAs. You can actually do it with 401k funds, but not with IRAs. And then the third and the broadest category is found in Internal Revenue Code, Section 4975, which, if I could sum it up, basically says you can't do any transaction with your IRA or 401k that directly or indirectly personally benefits you or your lineal descendants, your parents, your children, your spouse, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, or any entities associated with such persons. So what does that mean? You can't buy a house and live in it. You can't take your IRA, buy yourself a car, buy your kids a car, take your family on a vacation, pay off your credit card debt. Can't do it. The IRS is saying, listen, if you want to personally benefit, no problem. Take a distribution, pay the tax, and do what you want with the money. But if you want it to stay in a retirement account and grow tax deferred and generate tax-free compounding return, you got to invest in what we're telling you is allowable. And they're not saying, yes, you can only buy stocks, you only buy mutual funds, or only treasuries. No, you just can't do these three things. So there's a long list of stuff you can do. And we see with new assets like cryptocurrencies, which is a relatively new asset class, you can do it. It's treated as property like stock, as per 2014-21 notice by the IRS. You can do it. Got thousands of people do it over the last several years. So you have a lot of options. When it comes to the self-directed IRA basics, number one, know your options. Know that what you cannot do. Life insurance, collectibles, self-dealing. Know yourself. Know that you can't, if you're not comfortable buying real estate or cryptocurrencies or gold, and you're more comfortable buying stocks, then do it. Know yourself. Know the risks. Okay, surely there are some risks buying stocks on Wall Street, but there's also a greater risk if you send your money to someone you met on Twitter who promises you 20% guaranteed return. It's probably a little more risky. Now, you may be able to do it with your IRA because as long as that person's not related to you, you can do it. So when the SEC issues an alert, which they did several years ago, it's basically saying, listen, because the self-directed IRA rules are so broad and you have so many options, you got to be careful. Okay, even though it's an IRA or 401k, even though you think you may not touch it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's still very valuable. And the IRS feels like they're a partner in it. Why? You may say, well, it's my IRA. Why would the IRS feel like they're a partner? Well, if you have a pre-tax IRA, what happens when you hit 70? You got to take what's called required minimum distributions. And that means at 70, about 3 to 4% of your IRA needs to be paid out in taxes. So if you have $100,000, about $3,000 or so you take into income. So if you send this guy $100,000 that you met over Twitter and he ends up stealing your money, guess what? The IRS now has zero, because 3% of zero is zero. So they have a vested interest that you kind of don't screw it up. And so should you, of course, because it's your hard-earned money. But they also have an interest.